Thank you for checking out Lakehead International's videos. You're about to watch one of our Lakehead International live webinars, a fun and informative way to learn more about Lakehead while also meeting faculty, staff, and current students. If you have any questions throughout today's video, please comment below. Otherwise, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lakehead International Live. My name is Jordan Ball. I'll be your host today. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us, whether this is your first live event or perhaps one of many that you've joined before. We certainly appreciate the time you've taken out in your day to learn more about our on-campus residence and dining options. And of course, I'm really excited to be joined by several special guests from our resident services team, both in Thunder Bay as well as Aurelia, who I'll introduce in just a moment here. So I'm excited for today's webinar. If you haven't met me before, like I said, if this is the first time that you've joined one of our webinars, my name is Jordan Ball. I'm the International New and Social Media Officer. I help run our live events, our digital experiences, as well as our social media channels. So it's my pleasure to be here and share more about our on-campus options in terms of residence and dining. I'm also a great resource, though, to chat about just about anything. And we also have behind the scenes team today, Paula, who will be helping answer questions unrelated to residents, but we're always happy to answer them. Next, I'll take this opportunity to introduce our special guests, Emily, Michelle, and Tim. We'll kick things off, and I'll pass over to Emily to introduce herself.
Thank you so much. So my name is Emily Prince. I'm the residence area coordinator for the Thunder Bay campus of the apartments and townhouses. So typically where the upper years live, but depending on the situation, you could end up there in first year. So I was a student at Lakehead and I was a staff for residents as well. And then I moved up. I actually left Thunder Bay entirely and I came back because I missed it and I love it so much. And I believe residence is definitely the place for everybody, no matter what the circumstance could be.
Awesome. Emily, I'm sure you share a very similar story to many people who leave Thunder Bay and then just yearn to come back. So welcome home, essentially. And next, I'll pass over to Michelle.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Michelle Denton. I am the residence area coordinator for residence halls here on the Thunder Bay campus. So Emily and I work together to oversee all of the residents here on campus. I primarily oversee residence halls, so those dormitory style residents for primarily first year students coming directly from high school. I also came to Thunder Bay from somewhere else. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, and I came as a student, worked in Res Life as a student staff, and now I've made Thunder Bay my new home, and I've been in this role for about 7 years now. So I'm very excited to tell you everything that makes Thunder Bay residents unique, and hopefully you make it your next home away from home.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. It's been many years that we've had an opportunity to work together, so it's always great to have you once again. And last but not least, I'll pass it over to Tim from our Aurelia campus.
Hello, my name is Tim. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm very excited to be joining you this morning from beautiful Aurelia and sharing all the wonderful information about residents and our food program here in Aurelia, Ontario. And I have been working in student housing across the country for about 16 years now. So very excited to be here at Lakehead. This is about halfway through my second year here now. And have lots of wonderful information to share. And again, really excited to be spending the morning with all of you talking about my favorite topic, which is residence.
Awesome. Well, I'm certainly excited to have you, Tim, with your wealth of knowledge and experience across the country. But of course, more importantly, now here at Lakehead and the unique knowledge you share about our Aurelia campus. So you may be asking yourself, what are we going to cover today, Jordan? And that's exactly what I'll share with you is our agenda. So I'll kick things off with some upcoming events, and then I'm going to segue into the benefits of residence. So this is really where we dive into today's topic. The benefits of residence are varied, of course, and I want to make sure that you fully understand them. So I'll be sharing more details about that. And then I'm going to pass the torch over to our special guests who are going to share more about our on-campus options and our meal plans. And then we'll segue into residence life. So after you've heard about where you may be able to live or the options that are best suited for you, you'll want to hear about what makes residence great. And I think in my opinion, and I'm sure probably have some head nods, hopefully, residence life and student life here at Lakehead makes the experience even better. And there's nothing better than having a student panel to share more details about that. So we'll introduce a few more special guests from Thunder Bay and Orillia in a few minutes here. Alrighty, folks. So it's that time to share a bit more about the benefits of life on campus and living in one of Lakehead University's residences. So here are my 6 main talking points I'll share, or themes that I want to talk about. First and foremost, it almost goes without saying, but I like to remind viewers that there's a convenience to living on campus. You'll only be a few steps away from your classes, from your labs, from supports and services, and then you'll have easy access to that faculty and staff resources, as well as other on-campus services. So that's sort of number one in my eyes always. Number two, I like to think about is the lifelong connections and friendships. So new friendships are at the heart of every residence, and building that lifelong connection and friendship as well as networks will be something that you'll cherish for years to come, and of course something that you can lean on in your years at Lakehead. I should stop numbering these probably because each of you may hold some of these different some of these different benefits near and dear to your heart differently than the other viewers. So additional supports, of course, that is also something that we are proud of. Within our residence life staff, we offer additional student supports, including academic supports, where you can perhaps participate in exam review sessions, study groups, academic skills workshops, and plenty more. We also offer a very diverse community. So living with students from diverse backgrounds obviously enables you to share life experiences, learn about other cultures, and celebrate our differences and find new ways at looking at the world, essentially. There's also going to be leadership and job opportunities, so you could get involved by participating in residence council, becoming a house president, pardon me, a coordinator, or a resident assistant. You can also gain valuable experience and leadership skills through some of our volunteer opportunities. And last but not least, our residence, of course, is safe and secure. So we offer security services on site 24/7, 365. They're always on call. And above and beyond our security services, we also have our residence life staff that are always on call and available to help support you in a variety of different means. So that's a bit about the benefits of living on campus and why we think life on campus is one of the greatest options for our first year students. But I'll pass it over to Michelle, who I'm sure can add on to that, but also as she dives into Thunder Bay residence and kicks things off, I'll pass it over to her.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. So what we're looking at right here is our Thunder Bay campus and our Bartley residence building. But what's more important and why I like starting with this is the building that you see in front is our main front desk for all of our residence buildings here on the Thunder Bay campus. So Bartley residence is where you'll find our Bartley front desk. It's where you'll come and get your keys when you come and move in, and there's lots of resources and supports at that front desk. Now, Bartley residence is primarily our first year residence, our dormitory style for first year students who are coming straight from high school. You'll see it's a 3-floored building, so we're very big into house spirit and house dynamics. And so one of those 3-floored buildings with 32 rooms in the house, we call them houses. We have named them after small towns surrounding Thunder Bay. They have a mascot identity as well as house colors. And so wherever you're traveling from in the world to make Thunder Bay your home, that house dynamic really becomes your new identity. Starting day one with our orientation, with our activities and our programs. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about residence life. I like highlighting this before we dive into the rooms to talk about the house dynamic. It is a communal, like shared spaces in addition to your private bedroom. So that's one thing that's really unique for Lakehead University, residents is its individual bedrooms, but we do have some shared spaces for students. So in a Bartley house, all students have access to a common area lounge, and that's located on that second floor that you see. That turns into kind of the living room of the house. Students come and watch movies, hang out, play games, have some house meetings on Sunday to see what's happening and what's going on, and those are all facilitated by your residence life staff. There's also a study room on the first floor. So in addition to your personal bedroom. You also have a separate space to go study with friends. Maybe you have friends in other houses and they can come on over. And then you have a common space that's not your bedroom for you to study in, which is always a great option. And then across the hall, you'll see there's that above ground kind of tunnel or pathway. Everything is connected indoors, is the laundry facility. So everything on residence and everything on our campuses are all that convenient aspect. So everything you need is kind of right there in that house. So let's dive in and look at what that dynamic looks like. So when we talk convenience, you see there's all of these numbers on it, and that is our residence on the Thunder Bay campus. So number one is where we start. That's where you get your keys. That's our Bartley residence. Again, that main residence for first year students. Number two, you see, so right now, and depending on demand, it changes year to year, but right now our number two is our Preddy residence. And we're gonna look at that too. And that's our all female housing. So all bedrooms are designated for female students to live and still have that residence experience. Number three is our Avila building. We're not going to showcase that room space on this, but the rooms are very much similar to everything we're going to show today. And that's primarily those upper years, but residence halls. So 1, 2, and 3 are all residence halls buildings here on campus. So the dormitory style. And then Emily's going to talk about 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have a little 8 that's not shown, and that's our upper year apartment townhouse. But what you'll see, which is nice, is everything has those walking paths, everything is close, everything is convenient, so you don't have to worry about transportation once you're on campus. And then the paths that connect from our residence goes directly to our academic buildings, to our cafeteria, to our gymnasium. So the Thunder Bay campus very much is a walking campus. You don't have to take buses from residence to go to class. You're not taking any sort of transportation to go to the cafeteria. And that's one of my favorite things coming up when I was a new student here on campus. So for our residence halls, this is our generic layout or our basic layout for those spaces. Again, I said we're not going to highlight the Holiday Hall, so our Avila Center, but it has the same amenities in every single space that you see. And I think that's what's most important to highlight. So Bartley residence, we have 2 room styles. We have our single and our basic single. The difference is space. Currently, right now, I'm actually sitting in our single room. So if you're looking at the floor plan, you see that big, beautiful desk with that window. That is exactly what's behind me right here. The big, beautiful desk with our window. We have there's a bed. So everything is kind of that move in ready for you to come and make residence your home. A mini fridge is provided in each room, which is very nice. So if you want those late night snacks or some of those study snacks, you can kind of keep them in your personal bedroom space. And then the difference for the size for the single versus the basic single is there is that second closet in that single room, which is where you also get that extra footage in the bedroom space. Again, single bedroom. We have wireless internet all throughout our campus, and that includes residents. So once you've connected in, you've connected for the whole space. And then if we take a look at Preddy, you'll see the same amenities are provided. You still have that desk, the desk chair, beautiful window, single bed. It's just the difference is the layout. Jordan, do you want to highlight anything before we slide on to the next one?
Yeah, I had a question from an audience who said, is this just for undergraduate students? So I'll pass it over to Michelle to share more details about that.
Yeah, great question. We actually have been having more upper year residence hall options. So it is open to not just undergraduate students. The specific house that you would be able to select when doing room selection, which I know we're going to do not during this webinar, but probably a future webinar, that's where it would be what is available. So Bartley residence and residence halls are for first year students coming from high school primarily. Should those spaces not fill up or we not anticipate using all those spaces for high school students, we will have some upper year residence halls allocated for mature and upper year students.
Awesome, thank you. And we actually have a photo of inside the Bartley single where you can see that desk, the bed, the mini fridge. Of course, we've decorated it ourselves, but this is sort of really exciting for students. They get to bring their own flair, and show off their interior design skills, or maybe on the other hand, the lack thereof. And you might want to lean into making those friends that have a knack for that, and they'll help you decorate this room. I always like to draw attention to, and I chuckle almost because it feels like I say this every time, but that big, beautiful window lets in so much light. You can open it up to get a bit of fresh air whenever you would like. But you can also see there's curtains there. So if it's a Saturday morning and you have no plans but to sleep in and get a little extra rest, you can shut those curtains as well, and enjoy some peaceful rest and darkness in the room. Michelle, did you have anything to add about this photo, perhaps?
No, I think you said it all with that. What's really important is once you know that Lakehead is for you and residents and you'd like to live in dormitory styles, some of our options do get selected quicker than others. So if you know you would prefer that larger space in that single room, I do encourage you to apply to residents earlier. And I know we'll talk about that room selection once it's open for students to be able to do so. So just take a look if you want to see more into our room space. I know we'll probably plug it throughout this webinar, but we do have an Instagram page for residents that has highlights with room tours, so you can see what those rooms look like. And I'll throw our Instagram handle for the Thunder Bay campus in the chat following this.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. So I'll pass it over to Emily as we segue into our apartments and townhouses options. First, we'll take a peek at the floor plans, and Emily will share more about that. And then we will actually take a peek at some photos of the exteriors and interiors, and she can share more about some of the shared spaces in those accommodations.
All right, so I'm going to jump into apartments and townhouses. For those who might have just joined, hi, my name is Emily and I oversee the apartments and townhouses for Lakehead residents. So you'll see on the screen there's 3 different options there. And I'll highlight the biggest difference that are visible from here, and then we'll look at the interior. So in that top left corner, you have the apartments. I will say that both of these accommodations have 4 people per unit. The biggest difference is the bathroom situation and how many floors you'll have. So that apartment, you'll see there's 4 bedrooms on the right side of them, and then you have a kitchen space, a communal area, and 2 bathrooms. One of those bathrooms does have a shower, the other one doesn't, which can be really convenient if your roommates take long showers. I've heard many a time about it. And then you'll have that walk-in door. So the way we format it is apartments and townhouses. There's 2 buildings of apartments with 3 floors each. On each floor, there is 12 units. And then for the townhouses, we have 3 phases, and there's 144 students in the area. I'm really bad at math, otherwise I'd break it down even further for you. But there is a lot of accommodations, and typically it's our upper years who are looking to be on campus and be involved, but still want a bit more freedom. There's a bit less programming, but the programming is larger scale. So that's kind of the difference between the two, and I'll continue to highlight it through the next one. So we'll look at the interior. So this is what the apartment looks like from the outside. So like I said, it's 3 floors, and that's the inside there. It does come with everything you need, move-in ready, same as the residence halls. You'll have your fridge, you'll have your oven, you'll have a microwave. You do have a stand-up freezer as well. There's the beds, the desks, the chairs. You won't have the mini fridges in the room because you do have your own. It does come with a broom as well, a nice seating area. On the right side, you'll see a kitchen table. On the left side, you'll see a bit of a living room. There is also a TV, which is great. So it's a great place just to hang out with your roommates. So we'll flip into the next one. These are the townhouses. This is what it looks like from the outside. It's 2 floors like you saw before. That bottom floor contains your kitchen. It contains a living room. Perfect. The kitchen is just that right corner there. This is the living room area. You also have a sliding door on that left side. So you do have access to outdoors easily. And one of the fun things that I love about the townhouses especially is there's deer all over campus all of the time, and sometimes they'll come almost right to your back door. I wouldn't recommend opening it to them, but there are deer around. There are some foxes. So if you're into nature, into wildlife, the townhouses are also a great option to see them pretty frequently and easily.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. So I'll I'll take things over essentially, and I'll remind our viewers. So, of course, we've just looked at Thunder Bay campus thus far. To remind our viewers, though, apartments and townhouses have that full kitchen. So, meal plans are not mandatory; they are optional at that point. You're more than welcome to cook all your own meals, or perhaps maybe you want to, stick to cooking your lunches and dinners, but you're not a morning person, so you want to swing by our cafeteria and access our dining plan for your breakfast, perhaps. There's going to be options there for you. And then for our residence halls, we do not have any in-suite kitchens. So you would participate in the mandatory meal plan, which we'll share about after we chat a bit more about Aurelia residents. Before we do that, though, and sort of piggybacking on what Emily said about access to nature and recreation and also the wildlife. This is actually a quick snapshot of our Thunder Bay residence, our Bartley Halls there, and the Thunder Bay sunset. So we are very fortunate to have some beautiful nature in our area. And the picturesque landscape that we get to call home is something that a lot of students reflect on as we chat with them as alumni. Emily said it herself. She just kept thinking about Thunder Bay after she had left, and that's what brought her back. Of course, this is a sunset that you could capture, I would say, just about anywhere. But I will note that Thunder Bay actually has some of the longest summer days in all of Canada and all of the world, with that being said. We're known for our time change here and the fact that sometimes the sun won't set until 10:30, 11 at night in the summer, which really helps our students as they get off work perhaps or wrap up classes. They'll have plenty of hours of sunlight left to go and enjoy their evening and the rest of their day. So one of my favorite things about Thunder Bay for sure. I will pass over now to Tim to share more about Aurelia residence.
Thank you, Jordan. So this is a photo of our Aurelia residence building. We only have one residence building here in Aurelia as opposed to Thunder Bay, which has many different options. But our small but mighty campus is a 7-floor traditional style residence. And so each floor minus the first floor, so floors 2 through 7, is its own house. And our house system is made up of animals. So the second floor is the bears, the third is the elks, the fourth is the bisons, the fifth is the mountain lions, the sixth is the ravens, and the 7 is the hawks. And then you can see the center building of campus, the 1-story building, that's our dining hall. And then our academic building is just off to the side there. And that's where classes take place. For prospective teacher candidates who might be doing the professional teaching program, that building is downtown Aurelia, so that's not on our main campus here. But the residence building was built in 2011, so it's still a relatively new building, and we have taken really good care of it, so it's in really, really good shape, and a beautiful place to live and spend your time out in the country, just north of Toronto. And so, as I said, it's sort of a traditional style residence building, or maybe sort of traditional hybrid in that you share a bathroom. So you do have your own private bedroom with your own private entrance with a full double bed, a large desk, tons of storage. In the next photo, you can see all of the storage. I've never seen a closet this big in a residence room in my time. And then, of course, there is the shared bathroom with the other bedroom as well. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, there's that giant 3-door closet that's just in the back there. And everything you see here, minus the bedding and the towels, comes in the room. So when you do come here to Aurelia, you do need to provide your own bedding and your own pillows. This is the setup for the summer when we have hotel guests. But everything else comes with the room, the fridge, the lamp, the desk chair, all of the storage. There's also 3 drawers under the bed as well. And then that closet does open, and you could live in there. Like, it's so big that that there's tons and tons of space. And of course, beautiful big windows that look out into the countryside and other parts of campus. This photo I took 2 Thanksgivings ago from our 7th floor quiet study room. And that you can see in that photo our hockey rink, which operates in the winter and then in the summer is used for a variety of spaces or a variety of activities. So the campus is surrounded by Canadian countryside, and it's a quiet, beautiful space to live in. Lots of opportunities to make friends, of course, and eat in the dining hall. And the campus is surrounded by trails, and there's actually a Costco across the road on the other side, which is good if you're looking for a cheap meal. But of course, there is lots to do on campus and to get involved in our Residence Life program, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more, Tim. I'll also jump in here and say that although we are surrounded by some beautiful nature trails and the countryside on our Aurelia campus, across the street, they are building at a pace that I've never seen before, some new housing developments and other opportunities like shops and restaurants and places that our students often find part-time jobs. So it's really exciting area to be located in. We also have a public transportation system, both in Thunder Bay and Aurelia, which our students can access very easily. The buses come right onto our campuses and connect us to the rest of our cities, and more importantly, to our downtowns, where it is the most hustle and bustle that you would find in our cities. So those are always great opportunities for students to explore with their newfound friends and residents, and to perhaps unwind after a long week in school. So chatting a bit about meal plans, this is always a very important and popular topic, as we know. When you're considering your move to Canada and you want to make sure that you're going to have a place to lie your head, but also some food to fill your belly. And I'm sure for many of you, you may have parents that perhaps wanted to join the webinar, who have joined the webinar or are listening closely behind you right now, making sure that their son or daughter is going to have a great meal. That's what they're always worried about. What is my child going to eat, or how are they going to survive in Canada? They're going to be in good hands with our resident services team as well as our food services team. And so I'll pass things over to Michelle and Emily to chat a bit more about Thunder Bay's meal plan options.
Thank you, Jordan. Yes, the number two things, where am I sleeping and staying, and where am I getting food, right? Those are the things in addition to the whole university world of study and academics. And I will tell you, there is not a lack of food here on the Thunder Bay campus. I also personally utilize the residence cafeteria every single day for lunch. Not because I have to, because I want to, because I enjoy eating there and the food options. So let's talk about it a little bit. So if you're in the residence halls, you are automatically enrolled into our mandatory meal plan, and it will be included and embedded into that cost. So it's not an additional cost to that room fee. So when you look online on our website at our costs, you will see residence halls quite a bit more money than that apartment townhouse, because it is including all of the food for your stay here on campus. Our meal plan, the mandatory meal plan for residence halls, is an all-you-care-to-eat meal plan in the residence cafeteria. So you can access the residence cafeteria as much or as little as you like, for as much or as little food as you like throughout the day during hours of operations. And then you also get $800 declining balance that goes onto your student card. So your student card essentially turns into like a prepaid debit card that you can use at any Airmark food provider on campus. So right here in Bartley Residence, we have that after hours eatery. So if you say you went to dinner, but you're still hungry late at night because you're studying, or maybe you didn't get to go to dinner because you were too busy doing something else. We do have an after hours eatery right in our residence building that where you could use some of that declining balance for a late night grab, something to eat. So like a soup, salad, sandwich, French fries, poutine, any of those kind of treats that you would like. As well, we have Starbucks on campus and our bubble tea, so it works at any of those food providers. What I like to highlight through this meal plan, I'm not sure if it's on another slide or not, so I'll just say it now, is the diversity of the food options. There in our residence cafeteria, it is a buffet style, and there's different stations with different food options. And it's everything from like a hot steam table to a salad bar to a sandwich station. And what is nice about it is you can kind of modify and customize food for your desires and for your wishes. And then their Airmark staff is also great if you talk to them directly about dietary needs. So there's always like a halal meat option. Sometimes you might just have to ask them for it if it's not the one provided for all, but there's always a halal option. There's always vegetarian food options, vegan food options. And if you have some allergens, you just have to kind of talk to our residents life staff or the Airmark staff, and they'd be happy to kind of accommodate those for you. And then on the flip side, we have apartment townhouses, which Emma's going to talk about, which is not the mandatory meal plan, but you can have a meal plan.
Perfect. So for the apartments and townhouses, like it says there, you do have the full kitchen. So if you don't want to do the meal plan, you don't have to. But there are great options. I also eat in the cafeteria every day. It's one of my favorite things because it's a great place to also connect people. It's a great place to study in the main caf. Going to Starbucks is really convenient. And what's really great for the apartments and townhouses, if you get that declining balance or you get a voluntary meal plan, you don't pay taxes. So as soon as you're like, oh, I'm going to Starbucks every day, you're going to be saving that extra bit of money because you're not paying taxes on your declining balance. It's also really great. There's a lot of different options. So you could do 100 swipes. So that'd be 100 different times you can go into the residence caf. I know for me personally, sometimes I hate grocery shopping and sometimes I really don't want to cook. So having that option to be accessible for a couple different meals is so amazing. It's really great to have just as a peace of mind as well. We do get a lot of snow up here, so let's say you're planning on going grocery shopping and you see there's a foot of snow and you're like, never mind. Now you have that option of food, where you might not have before, and it is cheaper to have it on a meal plan versus paying your way every time. So it's really great options to have and see. And even if you do it for the full year, maybe you don't use it, we can maybe look at other options, but you can always add more. So if you start with a little and you're like, never mind, I'm using this a lot, I'd really recommend it.
Awesome. I'll remind viewers too, of course, it's an opt-in at the apartments and townhouse level. So you could certainly have the best intentions to come to campus, cook all your own meals, and make some of the best recipes that your family has cooked before. And then you come to realize school's a bit busier than you thought, or your social life is just booming with all your new friends on campus. And now's the time to get a meal plan. You're more than welcome to add it the first couple weeks into campus or into schooling, first couple months, whatever that might be, whenever it's convenient for you, we'll also sit down with you and chat about your options. We're always looking to make sure that our students feel supported in their decision and they can always bounce their ideas off of us. I'll pass over to Tim, though, to share more about our Aurelia meal plan, which is mandatory for all on-campus students, but there's a bit of a different approach to that meal plan.
Thank you, Jordan. So our meal plan program is quite similar to Thunder Bay's in that it's all access dining. So it's all you care to eat. You have access to the dining hall depending on whether you have a 5-day meal plan or a 7-day meal plan. So the 5-day is Monday to Friday, and then the 7-day is obviously 7 days a week. And our dining hall is typically open from 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night during the week, and then 10:30 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening on the weekends and holidays. And as I mentioned, it's very similar in that it's all access. You can come into the dining hall 15 times in a day if you want, or you could be in the dining hall and study and continue to, help yourself to some fresh baked goods or pizza or whatever the case may be. So very similar to Thunder Bay in that there's a hotline, and so there's a feature item each day. There are vegan and halal options. In fact, all of our meat in the dining hall, I believe, is halal. But of course, you can always talk to our dining services team, and they're more than happy to address any sort of dietary restriction right now. It's Ramadan, and so we've put some extra processes in place for our students who are observing Ramadan. So as I said, unlimited entry into the residence dining hall, and similar to Thunder Bay, you also have declining balance dollars, and those can be used. We have a small kiosk coffee shop in our academic building. And then in the main dining hall, there is the main servery, where you could use that if you had a 5-day meal plan, or let's say you were bringing a friend over for lunch one day, you could use your declining balance to give them access to the dining hall. And then, of course, we have Public House, which is our pub style experience, and that's on Tuesdays and Wednesdays this year from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that's pub style food like burgers and fries and chicken fingers and all that fun stuff. So all of those options are available on the Aurelia campus. And the nice thing about the Aurelia campus is that it's about a 30-second walk from the residence building to the dining hall. So when it's snowy or rainy or cold, it's not that far of a walk. And I eat 2 to 3 meals in the dining hall every single day, year round. So it is a good and a healthy experience for people. We recently have improved our pasta station, so they will make a pasta or a bowl for you right there on the spot, and that's available lunch and dinner 7 days a week. So we're also looking to always grow our food program. So student feedback is really important. So when you come to Aurelia and you're looking to, let's say, a dish from your home country, our dining services team is happy to work with you to share recipes, to help you build your experience at Lakehead Aurelia that feels as comfortable to you as possible.
Thank you very much for sharing more, Tim. I'll jump in here and I'll remind viewers and chat a bit about that, the different options for meal plans in Aurelia. So the 5-day meal plan is actually geared towards our students that come from the Central Ontario region, so the Simcoe County region. In some cases, they may be studying with us Monday through Friday and then taking the opportunity to go home on the weekends. And when they say home, it may be an hour and a half, 2-hour drive only. So a relatively short distance for them. And so that's why we saw the demand there and recognized that we wanted to provide that opportunity for students to have a modified meal plan. For our international students, it's not as simple for you to make travels home, especially not for a weekend trip. And so, of course, the full access 7-day meal plan is still an option for you. I do want to remind viewers, the 5-day meal plan, of course, will look cheaper on the initial price tag, but it is not cheaper in the end if you intend on doing a 5-day meal plan, but you're going to live on campus all 7 days. If you think you'll be able to get Uber Eats or food delivery services, if you're going to eat out every meal on the weekend, you'll end up spending a significantly more amount of money if you intend on doing the latter. So we certainly encourage all of our international students to pursue the 7-day meal plan, unless, of course, if you happen to know that you'll also be leaving campus on the weekends and heading to one of the towns around us. So we will shift gears here and chat a bit about student life, or residence life, pardon me. And I actually have the pleasure now to welcome and introduce our student panel. We have 3 special guests from our Thunder Bay and Aurelia campuses. First, I will pass over to Lois to introduce herself and share where she's from, what program she's studying, and what year level she's in.
Hey, so hi everyone. My name is Lois, and I'm super excited to be joining everyone today. I actually still remember the first time that I joined the Lakehead Live series, and I remember watching every single one of the webinar series back at home, and I'm super mind blown that I've made it so far here at Lakehead, and I'm so glad that I can come back and share my experience as an international student in Thunder Bay. So, a little bit about me. I'm from a small country called Oman in the Middle East. And right now, here at Thunder Bay, I'm studying in my 3rd year in software engineering. And I live on the Thunder Bay campus. And I've lived on campus for about 3 years now. And I'm also the RA, which stands for resident assistant, here in the upper year units in the apartments.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm happy to hear it's come full circle and you're giving back now. You had an opportunity to join us for our webinar series many years ago. And now here you are helping support them once again for the next incoming class. So maybe I'll say this to our viewers today, whether you're watching it live or as a recording. Hopefully one day you can participate in one of these events yourself. You'll always keep in touch with me. Next, I'll introduce Pruthella.
Hello everyone, this is Pritula, and I agree with Lois that it feels great to be back on the panels, and in the webinars. I've lived in the residence for around 1.5 years. I'm from Bangladesh, from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and it's a small country in South Asia, and it feels nice to thank you for having me. And I'm currently in my second year of undergrad in business program. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. And last but not least, we'll introduce our Aurelia student guest, Tanya.
Hello, my name is Tania Olivares and I'm from Mexico. I've been living in residence for 3 years now and I'm studying my undergrad in environmental sustainability. Thank you for having me and we're looking forward to talk a little bit about our beautiful residence in Aurelia.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us, Tanya. It's certainly a pleasure to have you. While I have you, I'll go in reverse order now. Since you were the last one to speak, I'll make you the first one to answer a real question. And I want to take this opportunity to remind our audience too, if you have questions for either one of our student panelists, please pose them in the Q&A now. And I'll keep an eye on that to help feed in your own questions. If you want to hear specific responses from our student guests, they're here to be honest and share their feedback about their experience. But Tanya, I would like to hear from you. In your opinion, what is the best thing about living on campus at Lakehead University?
Well, there's a lot of great things about living in campus, but certainly the things that I think are the best, it's that you're very close to class. As a person who is very late all the time, it's very helpful to be closer. And Aurelia is a really small campus, so that helps you get there in under 2 minutes. So it's great. I love that it's really safe. Here in Aurelia, like Tim mentioned previously, we have security 24/7, and we have the option to have a person from security come with us to walk to our building or walk across from the buildings. And I think that's really great. Every single time that I'm here, I've always felt extremely safe, so that's not a concern at all. It's very convenient as an international student that doesn't live here in Canada full time because I go back home in the summer. It's really great not to have to worry about like buying a mattress or having to worry about paying rent for the months that I'm not here. So residence has been a great option for me. That's what I've kept picking residence for 3 years now. And the company for sure, I feel like it's one of the best things that you can get in residence. It gives you a sense of place and community, because if it weren't for residence, I wouldn't have met my best friend now. So it has really been a great experience to be here in residence. And I feel like my university experience wouldn't have been the same without residence.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing more about that. Next, I'll pass over to Pithula to share more about in her opinion, what is the best thing about living on campus?
So for me, I would say that there are various events going around. Like there is something going around like all of the time, and it feels great when, and as an international student, when you see a lot of people, and it helps building connections and then fostering friendships. As an international student, when you come over to a new place, you're like scared or like thinking, okay, how will I manage? There are certain amount of people who are there for you. For examples, the res life team, the RAs and HPs are there, and you meet new people who are like as who just came from different around the world, right? So yeah, I feel like that connection and bonding is one of the greatest things you can find in campus. Like, you can just go around your house and be like, okay, there is a lounge over there, you can sit over there. There would be people like coming around, and you can introduce yourself to them as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more. And last but not least, I'll pass it over to Lois to share more in her opinion. What is the best thing about living on campus?
I think there's a couple of things for sure. And I feel like I've lived on campus for so long. It's like a bit of my personality. I joined Thunder Bay campus and I started out at Preddy Residence. And honestly, when I first got here, I felt like I was alone in my situation, but that's completely not the case. There's a lot of people here that have almost a similar experience to you. So I feel like one of the biggest things was community. And when I first came here, that's when I met some of my best friends. So I feel like community is a big thing. You're going to meet a lot of people that share similar experiences. And I also love how safe it is. Again, as to what Tanya said, it's as an international student, it's going to be hard for you to find uh maybe a place immediately off campus or like resources. So coming to camp on campus was one of the best decisions I could have made. And honestly, it was easy to access everything since everything was so close by. My classes were nearby, I never got lost. And yeah, I've never felt alone on campus. And I also love the resources that are provided through campus and the connections that I've made through on campus.
That's great to hear. I'm happy to hear that you're finding similarities between the two campuses and having similar experiences, but also and that's really what Lakehead has strived to offer is that small campus community feeling. With that being said, a live question from Antonella for Tanya about the Aurelia campus is a really great question. I'm excited to hear her response. The question is, how green is the Aurelia campus? As someone who really depends on nature to stabilize their mental health or their stress levels, and they love wildlife. The second part of that question is, how far is the campus from downtown Toronto? So Tanya, I'll pass over to you to take the reins on that question.
Well, that's a great question. As an environmental sustainability undergrad, I too love nature so very much. So Aurelia campus is really in touch with nature. We actually have Scouts Valley, which is a small park, like 5 minutes away, like walking. So we're really close to nature. The campus is also surrounded by trees all the time. In the room that I have, it faces a field, and the trees is kind of like the picture that you saw on the slides. So it's really nice to always be able to look out your window and see the trees. It's very easy just to go down, touch some grass, hug a tree if you're really tired of studying. So yeah, I would say really, really close to nature. And from Toronto, if you take a bus, it's really simple to go from here to Toronto because we have the Ontario Northland, which is a bus that can take you straight from Aurelia to Union Station, Yorkdale, and even like if you take another connection, it can take you to the airport, which is what I do most of the times. And it's like by bus, like 2 hours away. So it's pretty close to Toronto. And we also have like other smaller cities around.
I was just going to mention, of course, Toronto is the main city most folks want to think of or perhaps want to visit while they're studying at our Aurelia campus. But there's also Barrie, which is located just 25-30 minutes south. There are bus connections to our to Barrie and to the Georgian College campus where we have a partnership program. So it's quite convenient for our students that are also pursuing that. Um, Prithula, we have a student who says, good to see a Bengali student. I'm also from Bangladesh, hoping to join soon. So that's always exciting to see on our webinar here. While I have you, I know you mentioned in your first response that the events were really something that you appreciated. So I would like to hear from you. How did you get involved as a student? What did you do? Was it um, those events? Was it volunteering? Was it who did you connect with for our viewers that are also similarly looking to be involved when they arrive?
Yeah, I would say that when I came over here, I came here in winter, so I really didn't get the move-in day or like orientation. I did get orientation, but then the moving day wasn't a thing. But I would say even though I didn't get that, I was really like welcomed by my HPs and my RA, and they were the ones like for as being an HP myself right now, I would say that they really encouraged me to go into events, and every Saturday we have like res sports, and then every month we organize res wides, which is basically everyone living on campus have events. There are a lot of stuff we can like do on campus. For example, um, going for movies, and then as a building and community over here. And yeah, I feel like that helped me a lot for like making friends and like knowing the people who I'm like working with right now. And it feels great to be an HP myself now as a Res Life team. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more. Lois, I'm going to get you to answer a question. It says, can students live on campus after the semester ends, if they're not returning home for their country during the summer academic break?
Yeah, of course. So they can stay on campus because usually how our semesters work is this might be different from a lot of places out of Canada. Like back in Oman, we used to have full terms, and that would include like the summer as well. But over here, our semesters work as in from fall, we have classes from September to December, and then we have a short break in between that called our winter break, and then we have classes from January to April. So you're gonna have a little bit of a break between April to August, and that's usually called our summer term. So yes, you can stay on campus throughout this whole term. It's just the applications are different for when you're applying to live on campus. Because when you apply to live for the whole term, it usually covers fall and winter. And then you can apply around February for your summer housing or March. So yes, you can stay off campus on campus during our holidays.
Awesome.
I'll hop in with that as well. Sorry to cut you off, Jordan. The summer accommodations is our townhouse areas. So we don't include the meal plan in the summer. We do still have residence life staff, we still run events, and you don't have to be taking classes during the summer, which is one of the things that may throw people a little bit off. During the school year, to live here, you do need to be in classes, but otherwise, you can just be working or just be staying, because we do understand a lot of students may not be able to go home. So you do have the option of staying without being in classes.
Emily, while I have you, I'll ask you, is there a curfew in residence?
There is not a curfew, but there is quiet hours. So the need to study supersedes the need to party. So we do enforce quiet hours just to make sure that people are getting their sleep. It's about, I think it's 2 on weekends to 10 a.m. And then it is, wow, my brain is lost today. I think it's 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. as well. On weekdays, we do have RAs that go through on rounds and enforce that. And then during exams, it's a little bit different. They're longer. You have about 3 hours where noise can be a bit louder, just for the sake of studying and making sure people can write their exams in their rooms.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for sharing more about that. Just noting the time and being aware of that, I want to take an opportunity to give each of our student guests one opportunity to give advice to a future Thunderwolf. So in terms of preparing those new students that are perhaps joining us this May or this September, if you have 20 seconds to give parting advice, what would you say? I'll kick things off with Tanya.
Well, there's a bunch of things that I would like to say and that I would like to have heard my first year. But I think first and foremost is to get out of your comfort zone and be always willing to try new things. I feel like being uncomfortable is what has made me grow so much throughout these 3 years, and pushing myself to meet new people, pushing myself to like study more, or like try to like get out of like the things that I knew before. Obviously, coming to a different country is far like the best thing you can do to get out of your comfort zone, because it pushes you to go and get in touch with a different culture, a different language, and practice your English. So yeah, get out of your comfort zone. Everyone is always willing to make new friends, especially when the year first starts. So don't be scared to talk to people. And if you ever need help or something, there's always people there that can like help you out, even if it's like at the front desk, the life rest team, rest life team, I'm sorry. So yeah, never be scared to ask for help, because we all know that being away from home is hard at times. But yeah, you're doing great, and it's always an achievement to have like moved away from your country. So don't take like the power away from that. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that advice. Thank you very much. Next, I'll pass over to Fethula.
I would say that enjoy everything, like moving out from your house and then like moving out from your country is a lot, like it takes a lot from you. It's a huge change in your life, and there would be opportunities and there would be like sense of responsibility and freedom. Enjoy both of them, like enjoy both of these things, and your time in university is like, I know it just starts and then it's just probably like for 4 years, so enjoy. And if you're planning on coming in Thunder Bay in Lakehead, there are a lot of stuff you can do. And as we were talking about like the nature stuff, there are chances you can also see northern lights in on campus in Thunder Bay as well. I just wanted to add that. And yeah, so like we're excited to welcome you guys.
Thank you so much. Now, Lois, you may have the more difficult job after hearing two great responses and their advice. What else can you add to share with the audience today?
I feel like they've covered all the important points, but I'd like to add, always ask, because there's going to be a lot of people that are available for you for almost all your resources. And one of the most important, there's a lot of things that you might not know when you first come here, and it's not going to be on paper for you. It could be like, how do I get to the nearest Walmart? How do I get to Superstore after coming here? Always ask, and there's going to be so many resources for you to like piggyback off. And this is not just residents or like when you're settling in here, it's going to be for your future too. Like when you're looking for a job or an internship, always there's going to be people who have experience, and when you make connections and ask people for their experience, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are willing to share and give you their experience, especially when you're moving forward after coming to Lakehead.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for sharing your input to our student panel. It's been a pleasure to have the three of you. I'm going to shift gears here and chat a bit about residence life and the Res Life team. I recognize, of course, in terms of the live session that we're hosting right now, it is past 10 a.m. So we have some guests that may need to head out if they have other commitments, and that's okay. But now we're just going to briefly chat a bit about residence life. So for our students, we have resident assistants and house presidents. Those are student positions. And of course, we have our full-time staff here with us, our residence area coordinator. So on the Thunder Bay campus, we have Michelle, who heads up residence halls, and we have Emily from apartments and townhouses. And Aurelia, we have Tim, who does all residence halls. I'll pass it over to perhaps Michelle to kick things off to share more about what the role of an RA is.
Perfect. Thank you. And I think we've heard kind of a little bit about Res Life through the student panel, which is always great to hear firsthand, because Lois is one of our resident assistants here on the Thunder Bay campus. So our resident assistants, like any Res Life staff, are that kind of that support person for you. We call them kind of that middle person for you to figure out, ask questions to, and they can kind of point you in the right direction for any kind of student support question that you might have. Our resident assistants are student positions here on campus. It is a live-in position, so our resident assistants live in every community that they oversee. So here on the Thunder Bay campus, we have 21 resident assistants. So each of those 3-floored Bartley houses that we saw would have one resident assistant. The townhouse groupings, we have 3 groups of townhouses. Each of them would have one resident assistant, and each floor of the apartments. So essentially every house that you're building, that community has a resident assistant, and they are here as a support and resource, and also a peer student for any of those confidential, personal, academic questions that you might have. We talked about safety and security. Our resident assistants also work on call with the whole team, so they have a rotating schedule. And here on Thunder Bay campus, they're on call 24/7, so they also have some shifts during the day for us to help out. So no matter what the time is, if you need that safe walk with security, security can actually then connect you with a resident assistant as well and get you safely back to your house with someone to walk with the entire time, which is always really nice if you're out studying till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on campus. They are also trained in mental health first aid. They have regular first aid. So they are just that person that you can go to ask kind of those questions. And if they don't have the answer, they at least know someone who does have the answer, and they'll bring you to that person, which is just really nice to have that Insta friend when you move in.
Awesome. And then I'll get you to perhaps chat about house presidents. I know it's a different setup for all 3 of the options, being 2 in Thunder Bay and 1 in Aurelia, but if you could cover it broadly for all of them to help our viewers understand the role of a house president, I think that would suffice.
All right, I'll just keep motoring through. So we have our house presidents, and then our house presidents it's a volunteer position, so they get paid through an honorarium, and Pratula is one of our house presidents here in residence halls on the Thunder Bay campus. So part of her role, like she mentioned, was that community and building that, in that sense of connections that she loves so much, is actually what she fosters in her role. So the house presidents are that Insta friend. They are someone who wants you to get involved. And I know on the Aurelia campus, they also have resident assistants and house presidents with that same overview of support and community. House presidents are just on a bit more of that peer level, and they're not trained for some of those higher conversations, but they're definitely a resource that will get you to the next person that you need to talk to if you have a question. They are often advertised or spoken to for being like a fun coordinator. They plan amazing events. They want you to get involved not just on campus, but off campus. We've had some amazing events, paintballing, hikes to local landmarks, going to sightsee in town. And then on the flip side, we've also had some great in-house programming, some arts and crafts nights. I know Aurelia has a great fire pit, so they have some bonfires and movie nights and things like that. So your house president, if you would like to have a program, or maybe you're passionate about an upcoming hockey game or something like that, and you mention it to them, they're those ones that can make a program happen and then bring out more people that are also interested in that activity, and then help make connections that way too.
Thank you so much for sharing more, Michelle. I'll take an opportunity to just go through very quickly some photos that showcase that student life on campus. So this is actually our Aurelia cafeteria or dining hall. This is the residents' formal dinner. This is a picture from that same formal dinner. I recognize some of these students myself. We have Tanya also pictured here. So just going to show you some of the ways that we celebrate the end of the year wrap up, essentially. We also have our bonfire on the Aurelia campus. We have a fire pit on the Thunder Bay campus. This is something maybe more unique or North American, but this is a really great opportunity to share in some great conversations, some warmth, but also perhaps some special treats. We have our orientation, and I forget what house this is, but they are the flamingos. So their house color is pink, and their animal is the flamingo. I'll put Michelle on the spot and ask her, who is this? Who am I looking at?
This is Fort Francis, which I always find fun. I lived in Fort Francis before we were the flamingos, and I wish I was a flamingo because I love pink. And This, like Tim mentioned, the floors have animals and that house spirit. This is Fort Frances, and this is that first weekend. So you come in and I was Michelle from Toronto, and on day 3 when we're doing orientation, I was Michelle from Fort Frances house. And that identity really starts kind of that day 1, day 2, and you really get to know who is from what house for their house colors. And I know in Aurelia, they have really beautiful murals and kind of that house pride for the animals kind of logoed throughout the communities too. So you become not just a Thunder Wolf here at Lakehead, but you also become part of that house community starting day 1.
Awesome. We have a summer barbecue picture on the Thunder Bay campus with the apartments in the background. We also have Res Sports, like Ruthella mentioned, every Saturday. We host that on the Thunder Bay campus. And this is actually on one of our outdoor hockey rinks. But I don't believe they were playing hockey. I don't see any skates. I believe they were sliding. They were doing some competitions.
We were doing a penguin slide, which is our one of our activities in our Winterfest. So Winterfest is our kickoff to Res Sports in the second semester. We do a Fall Fest in the fall. And because it's winter weather, we try to capitalize, but we call them crazy carpets, or like kind of like sliding carpets, and you get pushed on your belly and you slide as far as you can on the ice. This is one of my favorite moments for this activity because it's kind of that first weekend after classes start, and it sometimes is students' first opportunity stepping out on an ice rink. So it is a very fun time, and then we do tend to have skating events later on, and you saw Aurelia campus also has that ice rink, so you can get the same kind of experience on both campuses, which is really fun.
Awesome. Okay, so folks, we will take just a few minutes here to answer some live questions, then we'll have to wrap things up, unfortunately. This first one says, do you have any ensuite room options? So in our Aurelia campus, all of our on-campus residence options do offer an ensuite. However, you do share that with one other roommate, or as we like to call it, our can mate. In the Thunder Bay campus, you do share your washroom facilities also. It just is depending on how many people are sharing with it. So townhouses and apartments, you'll have 3 roommates that you share your washroom with. And on our residence hall options, it is typically based around a small grouping, whether it's your floor or perhaps your corridor of the hallway, you'll share your bathroom accommodations. Another question is, do we register for residence before receiving admission? And when do I know about my application or my admission? So no, you do not apply for residence before you have an offer to Lakehead University. And then with that being said, in terms of when you'll receive that offer, it really is dependent on sort of your level of study, the program of study you've applied for. I know we're at a critical moment in the application process where hundreds, if not thousands, of students are waiting to hear back from Lakehead's admissions team, especially on the graduate studies side. So our master's students, don't worry, we are processing them as quick as possible. We just closed our application deadline on March 1, and so we should be waiting about 4 to 6 weeks till we start to see a lot of movement on those applications. So you still have maybe a couple weeks to hear back from us. If you don't hear within those next few weeks, don't be discouraged. It may just be that we're working through our backlog of applications as we speak. Michelle, I know you have a few marks, so I'll pass it over to you to answer those.
Yeah, I think that transitions nicely because there's a couple questions about payment, down payment, and types of housings for accommodation. So I'm going to put a link in the chat with our rates and rate scale and payments. It's for the Thunder Bay campus, and then I'll find the Aurelia one after as well. So for any student, there's a down payment of $250, and it's important that it's a down payment, not a deposit. So it's not an additional $250. It's $250 from that total that you see on our website. From there, the payment like frequencies is the same as all Lakehead payments. So it's on kind of that same pay time frame. So it's and correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but I believe it's August 15th is that payment deadline. And then there's also one in December as well. So you're paying the same. It's not monthly. It is the same as your Lakehead payments through your Lakehead account. So that's how the payment goes for that. And then it would be the same as a grad student. You're not applying, your payments for housing isn't based off of your level of study, it's your housing and accommodation type for where you're living. With that, we've had some questions about partners and spouses and communal living. Unfortunately, Lakehead University is not set up for non-student housing. So we don't have family accommodations. We don't have housing for you and your partner. Only students live on our residence on Thunder Bay and Aurelia campus, and it's all individual bedrooms. So if you and your spouse or partner are both students, you are both able to live on campus. However, you would apply individually. In Aurelia, you could apply to be CanMates, and then you'd have 2 rooms with a bathroom connected. In Thunder Bay, if you were to apply and wish for an apartment or townhouse, just note that they're units of 4. So you would have 1 bedroom each, and then you'd still have 2 other roommates. So we don't have that housing for kind of partners or family housing on campus.
Thank you, Michelle. So I'll answer the last 2 questions here we have time for. It's from Antonella and an anonymous user. It says, Antonella's is with regards to students on campus. How many students from South America do you guys know in campus? Just to get an idea if maybe I'll hear from familiar words. So Antonella, that's a great question. We have students from South America, a wide range of countries just below us here in North America. With that being said, of course, we couldn't have everyone in today's webinar. Not everyone necessarily will live on campus. However, the great thing about that is that we do have clubs on campus that bring together students based on maybe their geographic location that they call home, or a cultural or religious belief that they have. And so that's how you can certainly meet people and students from South America. Of course, I know, Antonella, you are drawing the connection to meeting Tanya, who maybe is a little more Central America from Mexico, but still someone who I hope that you can resonate with. And to our student that asked a similar question, how many African students do I get to know on campus? We also have students from all over the continent of Africa. So you will certainly find some familiar faces and hopefully make some really enriched friendships with them. We do have on the Thunder Bay campus something called AFCASA, the African Student and Caribbean Students Association. So they are a great group that has tons of events that connect both students from the African or Caribbean locations, but also students from Thunder Bay or from Aurelia that are looking to enrich their own student experience and learn about someone else's culture or religion. So that is the quick overview of residence and dining options. I want to thank everyone for joining in, participating today. Before I let you go, I want to encourage you to follow us and stay connected. You can find us at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you want to take a virtual campus tour, including tours of our residence halls, our townhouses, our apartments, all of that can be done from the convenience of your own home, visiting lakeheadu.ca/tours. If you would like to explore our upcoming events, you're more than welcome to check those out. I chatted a bit about them at the beginning of today's session, but there's plenty of exciting opportunities for you. All you have to do is scan the QR code at the bottom left of your screen. On that note, folks, thank you again to all of our special guests for joining us. Could not have done this without you, and thank you for staying a little late with me. It's been my pleasure to be your host, and hopefully we'll see you at the next live event. Bye for now, everyone.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, I want to encourage you to comment below or connect with us on social media. We can be found at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching once again, and hopefully we'll see you at the next live webinar. Bye for now.